basically. Yeah.
Is this?
I've thought about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've even got a couple of little grey hairs in there. Yeah. They added it in. No, they didn't. They're mine. They're mine. I actually got another one during shooting, actually. So,
Well, you did age almost 7 years.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm almost at my real age now. So yeah.
Is it good to be playing almost your real age?
I don't know. I mean, I think Bellamy was kind of, well, he's definitely way more mature than me. So I'm pretty immature. So yeah, I don't know about acting my age in real life, but definitely on screen, he's much more mature than I am. Yeah.
Can you talk about how he's changed over the course of the time jump?
Well, yeah, that 6 years in space changed a lot, and the group up there, I guess we would call them like space crew or something like that. Yeah, they're like this kind of new family unit up there, and so he's had to use Clark's advice of using his head and his heart in order to become more of a well-rounded leader up there, and Raven is like his second in charge, and the two of them. Well, everyone runs things together. They always make decisions together. So it's a nice community up there, and I think it's definitely calmed him down from like fighting and killing people every other week to 6 years off. Maybe he's gotten a bit soft, but I'm sure he'll get back to it.
What dynamic are you really excited for the fans to see that's changed the most over the time?
Well, the one that I think that I was really excited to get into is the Blake relationship, the siblings, to see how they've both changed. They kind of had a bit of a not like a reconciliation at the end, but it was over the radio. It was very brief, and then radio silence. So that one's one that's really important to Bellamy. That kind of dictates a lot of his decisions as well. Because he's pretty focused on that, that's one that I also am gravitating towards. But yeah, I mean, the space crew group as well is that family unit is another thing that's deeply important to Bellamy and really drive the direction he takes this season.
The show's always had so many strong leaders, and we know that your group is eventually going to make it back, to Earth. So, what's the dynamic going to be when you have Octavia, who's now recently risen up, and Clark and?
Well, yeah, this season's like it feels like there's a couple of different shows going on at the moment because there's so many different groups and leadership groups and who's in charge of what and where. So, it's interesting to see the power struggles between all the groups and actually, who's really in charge. So, this season's been tricky, I think, for me, like with Bellamy as well, and for Bellamy coming from being in the space crew and knowing that he's got the backs, like everyone's got their backs out of those 6 or 7 of them. Whereas when he gets back down to Earth, that changes pretty quickly.
Do you see any parallels between this coming season and season 1?
I saw more parallels in season 4 to 1. Yeah, like I watched it again the other day, and I think that 4 really reminded me of 1 for some reason. And I'm really blanking on 4 now. It's like all the years just kind of end up melding, and I'm like, hang on, I've got a beard in 5. In a way, I mean, the returning to space, there's that parallel. But the world is much more expansive now, and there's much more groups. Whereas in season 1, it was kind of about the kids on the ground and then the grounders. So I think it's a little bit more complicated than season 1 in terms of that. But I mean, I think most of the seasons you could draw parallels between them all, and yeah, it's strange to come back and have that 6-year break, and then for me to try and figure out who he is after only having like 6 months off. So whereas previously, you could quite recall these memories of 1 to 4 quite easily, but now there's like a 6-year gap in the middle where you're like, what did they do up there, So yeah, I'm trying to figure it out.
Lindsay talked a little bit about there's a difficult decision on whether and
Just
how
one?
to get,
One difficult decision?
on how to get down to the ground, and like, can you talk a little bit about Bellamy's thoughts on them leaving the ring?
Well, it's funny, to say that he's all head and heart, but the decision to get to the ground is very much driven by his need to, see what has happened to his sister. He believes that Clark has passed away, and he doesn't know any of this stuff. So That's the driving force for him, is the hope that his sister is down there.
Once the space crew does get to the ground, can you talk about some of the obstacles or struggles they face?
There's definitely like a lot of like returning of like the Mother Nature type things, and animals and creatures and critters and stuff like that, which is that's one of the struggles, one of the very many, and also like just the elements as well, and how the planet has changed because of prime fire, and I don't like. It's funny, in the show you're like, we got to get to this place, and then you end up there really quickly, but when you look at like the map of where we're going, it's like really far, and you're like, how did they get there so quickly? It's a show, we cut there. But in terms of the challenges on Earth, like the threat, other than like the elements and the environment, the threat kind of, as is always, is like a human threat between the groups kind of thing that's going on, more so than anything else.
Speaking of that, when the Sky Crew came down, they had weapons, so that gave them some superiority over the grounders. But these new people that are going to come down have technology as well. So how does that dynamic of two potential groups that have that kind of technology change that
It's
battle?
interesting what developed throughout the bunker, and the story will unfold. But Space Crew, we kind of just have algae. That's about it. That's all we're bringing to the table here. But yeah, in terms of maybe you're right. Maybe there is more parallels to season 1, and the high tech and low tech type of interactions, like with the Grounders and Sky Crew. So yeah, in terms of a technology battle kind of thing, most of that, thanks to Ilian, is all destroyed, and Prime Fire, obviously. That probably did most of the damage, but yeah. For my character, not so much. He's always been pretty lo-fi, Bellamy. Guns in his fists. Yeah, bit of a thug. Yeah.
Can you tease anything about the flashbacks we'll be seeing this season?
I can't. I'm not too sure, actually, in terms of the flashbacks. Yeah, I don't know how much I can say on that, really. But the story and like the mythology of the bunker and the new people will be told, and we'll figure it all out, hopefully.
How might the relationship between Bellamy and Clark be different once they eventually find where each other are?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty funny when he finds out. It's not funny, obviously, but to find out that she's still alive. It's obviously a huge shock for him. But she's also focused on her unit, her family unit, which is Maddie, and I have my space crew, and so they really deviate in that sense. There's no longer this real community of the 100. It feels like everyone's got their people now, and there's a lot of the my people, your people stuff as per usual. But in this particular season, it's very definitive as to who people are loyal to. So that kind of dictates where their relationship is and where it goes. Yeah.
We have time for 2 more questions.
How much are the people who are still on the ground in the thoughts or conversations of the people when they're on the ark? Is it or are there some people who talk about them all the time, or is it just like, we don't talk about those people, we don't know if they're alive, we don't?
I think in there is definitely reference to how much Bellamy talks about his sister, and it's obviously on his mind all the time. But as you'll see, that they've all learnt from each other in space. They've learnt different skills through each other. Each person has brought their own skills and shared them with the others. So I imagine there's been a lot of conversations about what's happening down on the ground, but they're really in the dark up there. And just trying to think. I'm sure they chat about Prime Fire and all that jazz too. Yeah, I mean, there's a big smouldering planet right there in front of them. There's the elephant in the room. We don't talk about that, guys. Yeah, no, it occupies a lot of Bellamy's thoughts, that's for sure.
You've been playing this role obviously for 4 seasons now, this 5th season, but what's it like to try and craft 6 years of Bellamy's history that you're never actually going to get to live?
Here it is. This is no. I mean, that's the tricky bit. 6 months off and then 6 years have passed for him. That's like I kind of had to think about who he was and when he was on the ark with his sister, and like how he was as a brother, and kind of go back into that mode of who Bellamy is and tap into that vein of how he used to be. So there's a lot of that. I think he definitely felt like a nurturing figure in terms of the space crew, and Earth has a nasty habit of bringing out the worst in him. So, yeah, it was nice to kind of go back into this older brother, fatherly type character for a wee while until things get really bad. So, yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, you too.